Hong-joo, who saw the hut burning, felt satisfied, but she felt strange. The wound on her hand, instead of healing, got worse, and her hand started to turn black. When the fire started to subside, Hong-joo realized Yeon-hee was not in it. She was angry at Pyongyang, forcing him to immediately kill Yeon-hee with spiritual power if he wanted Yeon-hee to return to the way she was. Pyongyang realizes that it was all just Hong-joo's trick. Yeo Hoe-hyun manages to find Yeon-hee and frees her. At the same time, Pyongyang arrives, apologizes, and admits that Hong-joo almost made him kill Yeon-hee. An angry Hee-jin wants to find Hong-joo, but Pyongyang stops him. Meanwhile, Hong-joo finds the dying Hae-ran and uses black magic to revive her. Hae-ran is then ordered to break the Crown Princess protective talisman so that Pyongyang can kill the Crown Princess using his powers. On the other hand, Hee-ok, who was arrested, tried to persuade the guards to release him, but failed. He was given rice instead, but Hee-ok firmly refused the food. But he felt hungry. When he saw that the soldiers were gone, he ate secretly. Yeogwang, who is walking in a daze, meets Seondeok. He pours out his worries, starting from Yeon-hee's condition to Hae-ran's disappearance. Seondeok listens to him, but she feels something is strange and claims that Yeogwang likes her, but Yeogwang strongly denies it. Hae-ran meets Yeon-hee at the Taoist temple and tries to take the shield talisman on her body. Yeon-hee is scared at first and fights with her eye power, but Hae-ran manages to get back up. She is helpless. Hae-ran starts to take the talisman, while Yeo Hoe-hyun also feels pain. And Yeogwang finds a strange symbol on his ear, realizing that Yeon-hee is in danger. Pyongyang enters the temple, trying to stop Hae-ran, but fails. Yeogwang protects Yeon-hee, and Yeo Hoe-hyun tries to fight Hae-ran, who is under the influence of black magic. Pyongyang uses his spiritual fire to defeat Hae-ran. They tie Hae-ran up, but Hong-joo tries to revive her through a ritual. When Hae-ran wakes up, she threatens them again. Pyongyang goes to Hong-joo's place where he manages to injure her, but is also cut by the black sword and passes out. Queen Shim supports Yeon-hee, but warns her to keep her distance from Yeo Hoe-hyun to protect the Crown Princess image. Yeo Hoe-hyun is hurt when he hears this. The queen asks the king to replace the Taoist temple head with Pyongyang. Hae-ran manages to control herself, and they learn that the black sword is the key to destroying Hong-joo's black magic. Yeon-hee makes a plan. She goes to lure Hong-joo, while Yeo Hoe-hyun sneaks into Hong-joo's hideout to retrieve the black sword. Yeo Hoe-hyun manages to get in and finds Pyongyang unconscious. At that time, he sees the black box containing the black sword. At that time, Yeo Hoe-hyun is almost affected by the whispers of black magic, which makes his balance weaken. Hong-joo realizes their plan and returns to her place. Yeo Hoe-hyun almost falls under the control of black magic, but he manages to strengthen himself. Together with Pyongyang, he burns the black sword. Hong-joo falls, vomiting blood, and her body weakens. At night, the royal army finds and takes the items in Hong-joo's hideout. In the courtroom, Hong-joo is questioned by the angry king. The king plans to punish her by burning her alive to restore the kingdom's image. But Hong-joo instead asks for a good death, surprising everyone. Yeo Hoe-hyun and Yeogwang realize that Yeon-hee's curse has not been lifted, so Hong-joo should not receive the death sentence. Yeo Hoe-hyun goes to the king and begs him to stop the sentence. Because if Hong-joo dies, the curse will not be lifted, and could be worse. Yeon-hee has a nightmare and gets a whisper about a child in danger. Queen Shim calms her down and supports Yeon-hee's wish to stay with Hee-jun in an effort to remove the curse. Hee-jun has a beautiful dream about Yeon-hee, but is disappointed when he wakes up to find Yeogwang in his arms. Yeogwang, who realizes this, makes fun of him, because the person in his dream is not the person he expected. Yeogwang is embarrassed and disgusted by this. Queen Shim warns Hee-jun to keep his distance from Yeon-hee after the curse is lifted. Good news comes from Queen Park, namely that King Seonjo's consort is pregnant. They give this good news to Queen Shim. Queen Shim is very happy and tells Queen Park to take care of her pregnancy. At the same time, The crown princess also enters the room, seeing the presence of the princess. The king decides to leave the place. Queen Shim delivers the news to Yeon-hee. Yeon-hee is happy to hear the news, but she remembers her dream last night and feels anxious. Yeon-hee walks absent-mindedly, unaware of Hye-jun calling her "why." When asked, Yeon-hee claims to be fine. They then go to the shop, meet Yeogwon and Seon-deok. When the order comes and the seller asks for money, Yeogwon and Seon-deok pretend not to see. Finally, Yeon-hee pays for the meat that comes. At night, Hyeoneseo attacks Queen Shim with black magic, but Yeon-hee manages to thwart it. Yeon-hee angrily meets Hong-joo in prison. She intends to strangle Hong-joo with her powers. But seeing the eunuch and the maid outside, she decides not to. She is determined to remove the curse. The shaman spread rumors throughout the village, accusing the crown princess of causing the plague. Queen Shim asks the king to clear the kingdom's name, but the king chooses to remain silent. Therefore, Queen Shim arranges a prayer ritual led by Punjeon to erase the rumors. During the ritual, the shaman attacks, causing chaos. Hyeoneseo and the shamans threaten and are about to attack Hye-jun. Hye-jun has warned that this is a trap, so Yeon-hee remains calm, but Yeon-hee manages to use her powers against the shaman, worsening the rumors that she is a witch. The people attack. Hye-jun tries to protect her and take her away, but Yeon-hee pushes him away with her strength, causing Hye-jun to get hurt. In the palace, the king, who is pressured by the people's petition, meets Hong-joo, who continues to influence him. Finally, the king agrees to the plan to kill the crown princess. Yoon-hae and Hye-jun manage to escape from Chongbin Temple. Hong-joo, who realizes this, reports to the king and asks him to mobilize soldiers for a search. At first, the king refuses, but after being influenced by Hong-joo, he agrees on the condition that Hong-joo will still be punished after everything is over. The king forces Punyeon to help with the burning ritual, using spiritual fire, threatening to kill him. Yeogwon and Seon-deok try to find Yeon-hee. At the market, they see the people angry because of the plague that is believed to be caused by the crown princess. Yeogwon comes to Punjeon, reminding him that the time to light the candles is almost up. While looking for Yeon-hee, Punjeon begins to feel the attack of black magic possessing him. On the other hand, Hye-jun and Yeon-hee are looking for a safe place. Hye-jun notices the exhausted Yeon-hee carrying her. He accidentally hears the sound of her stomach rumbling. They laugh. Hye-jun tries to catch a fish for them to eat, although he has difficulty, but he manages to catch it. That night, they expressed their feelings for each other in front of the campfire. But while continuing the journey, Yeon-hee feels sick because the time to remove the curse is running out. Hye-jun invites Yeon-hee to find a safer place because he feels someone is coming. Sure enough, they are surrounded by shaman and the royal army. Hye-jun tries to cover Hye-jun so that a fight occurs between them. Hye-jun is injured and falls into a ravine, making Yeon-hee cry. Punyeon appears, defeats the shaman and the royal army, then takes Yeon-hee to safety. When she wakes up, Yeon-hee wants to look for Hye-jun, but Punyeon holds her back. On the other hand, Punyeon finds Hye-jun's shoes on the riverbank. Yeon-hee shivers and dreams about Hye-jun directing somewhere, and her strength awakens again. In the morning, Yeon-hee goes to the palace, defeating the guards with the power of her eyes. At the palace, Queen Shim challenges the king over his decision to arrest the crown princess, but the king threatens her with a dark secret. Tensions rise when Yeon-hee arrives, surprising everyone. Meanwhile, Hye-ok escapes from the soldiers with the help of his men. Punyeon finds Hye-jun unconscious by the river. After regaining consciousness for a moment, Hye-jun believes Yeon-hee has gone to the palace. Yeon-hee, in anger and grief, attacks Hong-joo after hearing the truth about her origins. She nearly kills Hong-joo, but stops when she hears Hyun-soon's voice. After the situation calms down, Yeon-hee is taken to prison by the soldiers. Hyo-jun is still in the king's room. There he tries to convince the king that Yeon-hee did not intend to kill him. And the plague that is in the people of this country comes from Hong-joo's black magic. However, the king does not want to listen. He orders the soldiers to take Hyo-jun to prison. Pung-yeon, who is increasingly possessed by black magic, tries to commit suicide but is thwarted by the shaman on Hong-joo's orders. He is tied up in chains. Hong-joo threatens him. Hae-ran, who has also been possessed by black magic, manages to snatch the last page of the Book of Demon Extermination from Yeogwang at Cheongbin Temple and stabs Yeogwang. On the other hand, Queen Shim is sad to know that the crown princess will be burned alive. Sung-jae tries to save Pung-yeon, but he is killed by Hong-joo. On the day of the execution, Yeon-hee is tied up to be burned in front of the people. The gong rings. Hyo-jun tries to escape, while Pung-yeon, who has lost control, lights the fire with his spiritual power. Yeon-hee tries to escape in her fear, while Hong-joo smiles in satisfaction, seeing her plan work. The fire continues to spread, burning the straw and starting to burn Yeon-hee. She continues to struggle to free herself. Meanwhile, in prison, the soldiers scold Hyo-jun, who tried to destroy the cell. The king comes to check what happened. The people are watching the burning ritual. The sky suddenly turns dark. In the palace, Queen Park, the consort of King Seonjo, is sewing clothes for her future son. But suddenly her body is possessed by the evil spirit of Hong-joo's black magic, making her float in pain. King Seonjo, who is panicked, rushes to his room and remembers Queen Shim's warning that if the crown princess dies, the curse will destroy the royal family. In the midst of the fire, Yeon-hee begins to lose control of her cursed power, causing her hair to turn white. Hong-joo is shocked to see Yeon-hee's power awaken. Pung-yeon, who sees Yeon-hee's changes, seems to hear a whisper that says that there is a monster inside the woman's body, so he must kill it, and a whisper to save her. Pung-yeon finally gets control of himself and realizes his mistake. Hyo-jun comes to save Yeon-hee, but is blocked by soldiers. With courage, he fights them, helped by Pung-yeon, who injures Hong-joo when he tries to stop him. Hyo-jun manages to free Yeon-hee from the fire and takes her to Cheongbin Temple. Pung-yeon feels guilty for causing the incident and intends to step down from the position of head of Taoist temple. At the palace, Yeon-hee gives a calming potion to Queen Park. The king says he regrets trusting Hong-joo. He asks Yeon-hee and Hyo-jun to punish Hong-joo. The king also reveals that Pung-yeon is stepping down as head of Taoist temple. Yeon-hee tries to meet her brother, but Pung-yeon, who is inside, does not respond. Pung-yeon feels embarrassed to meet Yeon-hee. Hong-joo tries to get the last power by stealing the last page of the Book of Demon Extermination from Hae-ran. However, Hae-ran, even though her body is weak because of black magic, still refuses to help Hong-joo. But Hong-joo manages to take it because Hae-ran can't hold her body. Hyo-jun plans to fix Pung-yeon and Yeon-hee's relationship with a self-mirror potion. The potion can make him aware of his thoughts and actions. Pung-yeon drinks the potion, and he hallucinates meeting his father. There, Pung-yeon is given the realization that he was obsessed with fulfilling his sense of responsibility to take care of Yeon-hee, instead of loving the girl. He cries because he regrets his behavior. Then Pung-yeon goes to Cheongbin Temple to meet Yeon-hee. There they talk. He realizes his mistake, and is determined to make Yeon-hee happy this time. They strengthen each other and make peace. This makes one of the candles successfully lit again. Upon returning, Pung-yeon gets hit by a kunai from the shaman, then finds his father helpless in the forest. He gets information from Yeogwang that this is because his father's body is weakened by black magic. He is sad because he couldn't help his father. Hae-ran comes to her senses and sacrifices herself by absorbing Pung-yeon's black magic into her own body. She goes and successfully reclaims the last leaf from Hong-joo. Hong-joo begs Hae-ran for help, but the man refuses, choosing to atone for his past mistakes. Yoon-hee and Hyo-jun share a happy moment under the shooting stars, but they realize that there are only 2 days left to lift the curse.
우린 무사히 초를 다 켤 거고.
Hyo-jun receives the last sheet from Hae and Seo. He is shocked to learn that the only way to remove the curse is by sacrificing true love, which is death. He feels confused. He burns the sheet. Yoon-hee wakes up to find Hyo-jun sleeping in front of her. She smiles happily, and Hyo-jun wakes up and smiles back. Their sweet moment is interrupted when Seondeok comes calling. Hyo-jun and Yoon-hee approach her and see Seondeok carrying a potion. She claims it's for a stab wound, but when Yeogwon questions her, Seondeok gets nervous and says it's for a stomachache. Embarrassed, she hands the potion to Yeogwon and quickly leaves. Hyo-jun, who realizes Seondeok's feelings, makes a courage potion to help her get close to Yeogwon. At the market, Seondeok keeps thinking about Yeogwon until she sees someone who turns out to be Hyo-ok. She follows the man and finds out that Hyo-ok is involved in smuggling slaves to Ming. Hyo-jun and Yoon-hee wait for Seondeok to arrive. When the woman arrives, she gives her the courage potion. Seondeok accepts it in confusion. Then she reports that Hyo-koke was involved in smuggling slaves to Ming. Yoon-hee and Hyo-jun meet with Hyo-kok. Hyo-jun scolds her to face the consequences of the trouble she caused. Yoon-hee gives her the self-awareness potion. Seondeok finally confesses her feelings to Yeogwon. Yeogwon is surprised but happy and declares that Seondeok can freely enter and exit the temple. Hyogok drinks the potion, finally surrendering to the palace. The candles at Chongbin Temple are lit again, and there is only one remaining candle. Hyo-jun and Yoon-hee spend a day together in a secluded house. They shop at the market, make and fly kites, enjoy the time together, even though they are anxious about what to do to light the last candle. At night, Yeogwon, who was drinking because he felt sorry for Hyo-jun and Yoon-hee's relationship, met a mysterious man who gave him the sacrifice potion for Hyo-jun. Yoon-hee gets a letter meeting Hong-joo, revealing the contents of the last page of the Book of Demon Extermination, the sacrifice of true love. Yoon-hee was devastated to hear that Hyo-jun was the one destined to make the sacrifice. In the morning, Yoon-hee asks to hold a wedding procession at Chongbin Temple. Led by Yeogwon, the wedding takes place full of laughter and happiness, but overshadowed by sadness. Night has come. They enjoy the night together. Yoon-hee's condition is getting weaker. She falls unconscious. Hyo-jun, who sees that without thinking, drinks the sacrifice potion and makes her faint. Yeogwon is worried to see the temple candles are not lit yet and looks for them. He finds Hyo-jun unconscious. When he wakes up, he finds out that Yoon-hee has switched the sacrificial herbs. With full sincerity, Yoon-hee sacrifices, and the last candle is finally lit. Hong-joo feels a heavy inner wound. Hae and Seo takes her to the forest and burns herself with Hong-joo, atoning for their sins. Pong-yeon can only cry watching his father's sacrifice.
내가 나의 죄는 용서받았어.
Time passes. Hyo-jun takes the imperial exam in medicine and finishes faster than the other candidates. He then meets Pong-yeon, who decides to travel to expand his knowledge. At the palace, King Sung-jae gives Hyo-jun his support to write a book to help many people. 40 years later, Hyo-jun is known as Grandpa Jang, a wise figure who inspires many children to become noble healers. He has loyal students and successfully completes a book entitled The Dongui-bo. On the way to the capital, Hyo-jun felt tired and his students looked for water in the river. In the sky, he sees a kite that reminds him of Yoon-hee. He followed the kite's direction until he arrived at their memorable house. With a youthful soul, he enters, and when he turns around, he sees Yoon-hee standing smiling at him. And the story ends. Behind the pale moonlight lies the story of a girl. Born not as a blessing, but as a curse. Abandoned by the world, shunned by love, but even in the deepest darkness, a glimmer of light can still be found. Fate can be cruel, but humans have the power to challenge it. Not with magic, but with faith and unyielding love. We all have shadows of the past, but that doesn't mean we can't heal the wounds. Even a cracked mirror can still reflect light. This drama is not just a story of magic, but of hope, of the courage to keep loving, even when the world says no.